A fearsome and ferocious predator known as the hunter hippo of South Africa governed the whole continent during the Triassic period. It had a massive physique, strong jaws, and keen teeth that could easily rip through flesh and bone. All who heard its name, which was only spoken among the terrified prey in hushed tones, were struck with fear. It was an incarnation of the irrational terror that dwells deep within the psyche of every creature. A creature of nightmares. Nobody who came into contact with it ever got over the fear of having to survive such a creature. It was the realm of Anteosaurus. Approximately 265 million years ago, during the Middle Permian period, the Anteosaurus, a prehistoric animal, roamed the Earth. With a body that could grow up to 20 feet in length and weigh more than a ton, the Anteosaurus was a huge predator. It was one of the biggest and most terrifying predators of its era due to its size and weight. Therapsids, a class of mammal-like reptiles that emerged during the Permian epoch, included the Anteosaurus in their ranks. The Anteosaurus was one of these creatures that was among the largest, and these animals were generally larger than their contemporary mammal counterparts. The Anteosaurus had a strong, imposing cranium that was perfectly suited to its life of predation. The animal's massive, heavy, and robust skull had a variety of characteristics that made it an effective weapon. The enormous jaw muscles of the Anteosaurus, which were among the strongest of any animal to have ever lived, were one of the skull's most noteworthy characteristics. With the help of these muscles, the Anteosaurus was able to administer vicious bites that easily tore through skin and crushed bones, making it a dangerous predator that few creatures could equal. Additionally, the Anteosaurus had a number of very massive, sharp teeth that were designed specifically for tearing and cutting. With bigger teeth in the front of the mouth and smaller teeth in the back, these teeth were organized in a characteristic pattern. The Anteosaurus was able to administer potent bites that could rapidly and effectively render its prey unconscious thanks to its configuration. The Anteosaurus had strong jaw muscles and pointed teeth, but it also had a skull that was well suited for processing sensory data. The animal's enormous eye sockets allowed it to see clearly in low light, and its big nostrils allowed it to trace scents and spot prospective prey from a distance. An estimate of the Anteosaurus's weight puts it at around a ton, or over 2,200 pounds or 1,000 kilograms. As a result, it ranks among the biggest carnivores of its day. The sturdy, muscular body of the Anteosaurus, which was constructed for power and agility, sustained the weight of the animal. Its vast weight was supported by its short, stocky legs and large, cushioned feet, while its defense was provided by its thick, scaly skin. The Anteosaurus had 4 legs, and the tip of each one were covered with enormous pointed claws. When hunting or defending themselves, these claws were employed for grabbing and tearing prey, as well as for burrowing into the earth. The large and cushioned feet of the Anteosaurus helped it to absorb shock from its movements and gave it more traction on slick ground. The Anteosaurus had thick, durable skin that was armored with scaly scales. The animal's scales served as a layer of defense against prospective enemies and also assisted in controlling body temperature. Smaller scales covered the top of the animal's head, neck, and back, while larger scales covered its belly and legs. The scales were placed in a precise pattern. These scales were constructed of a hard, keratinous substance, much like the scales of contemporary reptiles. The Anteosaurus had a rough, menacing appearance due to its skin's protruding lumps, ridges, and spines. In addition to having structures for protection and display, the Anteosaurus's skin was also highly adapted to its surroundings. For the animal to survive in dry conditions, the thick, scaly skin served as a barrier against water loss. The animal's skin also has a variety of glands that secrete oils and other chemicals to ward off parasites and shield it from harm. About 270 to 260 million years ago, in the middle of the late Permian era, the Anteosaurus was alive. At that period, enormous deserts and scrublands, as well as arid and semi-arid conditions, dominated the Gondwanan continent. The Anteosaurus was probably a predator that was accustomed to living on land. It is thought to have lived in the Gondwanan scrublands and plains, where it would have hunted therapsids and other large herbivorous mammals like dicynodonts. The Anteosaurus would have faced many difficulties because of its dry habitat, including the need to preserve water and control body temperature. The animal's powerful frame and short, stocky legs would have let it move swiftly and effectively through the terrain, while its tough, scaly skin would have helped to shield it from the hostile environment. An animal-eating predator, the Anteosaurus was specialized to hunt and devour prey. It is thought to have mostly preyed on other large herbivorous animals, like dicynodonts and other therapsids, which were prevalent in the mid to late Permian environments. The Anteosaurus was well suited for hunting and killing its prey thanks to a multitude of characteristics. Its muscular frame and short, stocky legs made it swift and agile on land, and its keen teeth and powerful jaw muscles allowed it to deliver powerful bites that could rip through flesh and smash bones. The Anteosaurus presumably had a high sense of smell and sharp eyesight in addition to its physical adaptations, which would have helped it to follow and find possible prey from a distance. Most therapsids are thought to have been solitary creatures that lived and hunted alone, including many of the species that make up the Anteosaurus's potential target species. This is because resources like food and water were few and spread widely in the mid to late Permian environments, which did not favor the development of social groups. In spite of this, it's probable that Anteosaurus engaged in some form of social conduct at different points in its life cycle. Like many contemporary reptiles and certain mammalian predators, young Anteosaurus may have spent some time with their moms just after birth. However, this theory is not directly supported by any data. The Anteosaurus, like all therapsids, belonged to the synapsid order and, as such, shared many of the same physical traits as contemporary mammals, such as distinct teeth and single lower jawbone. These characteristics imply that the reproductive system of the Anteosaurus may have been comparable to that of contemporary mammals, with females giving birth to live offspring rather than laying eggs. It is also probable that the Anteosaurus showed some parental behavior, as do many contemporary reptiles and certain predatory mammals. For a while after birth, the mother might have nourished and safeguarded her young, teaching them how to hunt and live in the harsh surroundings of the mid to late Permian epoch. Approximately 252 million years ago, during the late Permian Triassic extinction catastrophe, the Anteosaurus perished along with many other therapsids. Since up to 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species became extinct, this event is regarded as the most severe mass extinction event in the history of life on Earth. The extinction of the Anteosaurus and other therapsids during this epoch may have been caused by a number of events. Massive volcanic eruptions that took place in what is now Siberia are probably one of the key causes, because they released a lot of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and started a long-lasting global warming event. It would have been difficult for many animals, including the Anteosaurus, to adapt because of the significant influence this would have had on the climate and ecosystems of the time. Changes in sea level, ocean chemistry, and atmospheric composition are further causes that might have caused the extinction of the Anteosaurus, in addition to volcanic events. The food webs and ecological interactions that the Anteosaurus depended on to exist may have been disturbed by these changes, resulting in a drop in its population and eventual extinction. It's also plausible that the dinosaurs, which first appeared in the Triassic epoch and swiftly rose to dominance as predators, simply outcompeted therapsids like the Anteosaurus. So this was all about Anteosaurus, the hunter hippo of South Africa. If you want to get more such updates, hit the bell icon and subscribe to this channel. Also, let us know in the comment section how you find it. By knowing about unique species, we get an idea of how the world, climate, and wilderness was in historic times. We get to know about several new concepts we never knew ever existed. Did you know that long before, there lived a terrifying creature, Velociraptor, who was enormous and one of its kind? Click the video on your screen to know more about it.